Hey guys, I'm back again with a new video in 2023. Hope you guys had a good holiday season and a happy new year. Today I'm going to be building the Zuoya GMK67. This is one I've been looking forward to for a little while, and as I get into unboxing it, I'll go over some new things. So this keyboard, I believe, hit the market recently. I picked it up off of AliExpress, and for the budget price that it comes at, it's around 50 bucks. You'll see that it has some pretty awesome things that it includes, as well as the features in the board itself. So we'll hop into those things right here. It's gonna have its own keycap and switch puller, as well as this braided cable. I really like this cable. It's a decent length, and the fact that it's braided is just a nice little touch. And then your regular standard keycap and switch puller. But now getting into the board here, it is plastic. I believe this is ABS plastic. And as you can see from the plate, this ends up being polycarbonate, which is the first polycarbonate plate that I'm going to use in any build ever. You can see here it has the port for your USB-C cable, as well as some switches. These let you go in between the Bluetooth and the 2.4 gigahertz with a dongle included, as well as your power on and off switch, I believe. So RGB's pretty solid in here. It's nothing super duper amazing, but for what it is, it's something that I think is pretty nice. I don't usually have RGBs on in my board, but if you're somebody that does, this might be something that's good for you. As far as the colors go, this is the only color I was able to see available anywhere. This white, it is pretty nice, and white does go with most things, so not too bad. This knob is something I was expecting to be plastic. It is a little on the smaller side, but it is metal. It does have a plastic insert in the middle where it connects, but overall, it's a pretty cool looking board without anything in it. But I'll go ahead and start disassembling this thing here in a sec, and we'll go over some of the components that come inside. However, before we get to that, I want you guys to see how I was kind of experiencing this gasket mount with the polycarbonate plate. I was trying to see how much it flexed, and compared to the next time that I had built, which was a quote-unquote gasket board, it was more like sandwich mount with these really thick, silicone gaskets. This one is definitely more flexy, which I like. So we're gonna take off this top shroud and tear this thing apart. After this sped up part, I will go over every single one of the components inside of here. So yeah, enjoy. So as you see here, this is the polycarbonate plate that comes included with this board. The stabilizers do fit nice and tight in here. We'll get to those here in a second, and I'll complain a little bit about them. But overall, they are decent for some stock stabilizers. Underneath here, there are two types of foam that sit between the PCB and the plate itself. This, I believe, is just some EVA foam. I think, I'm not 100% sure. And then it has this sheet of PE foam that sits underneath that. I did end up using both of these in the board just because I figured if it came with it, let's see how the manufacturer intended it to be. And here's our first sign, some lube residue just sitting on the PCB. So that leads us into our next part, and that's going to be tackling these stabilizers. Like I've said in the past, I wish they just didn't lube these at all. I get what they're trying to do. I get that they might be targeting the budget side of things, where somebody might not really be too well versed or even want to lube stabilizers and do modifications themselves. But man, I don't even know if this lube did anything to help, in all honesty. So after wiping that down and cleaning it, I'm going to go ahead and use some 205 G0 on the stems. I didn't put any in the housing this time, but as you'll see later on, it's something I did have to end up opening back up afterwards and kind of fixing, because these stabilizers were just really a pain for me to try to get you know, a good clean sound out of. In the future, I will probably end up ordering some plate mounted stabs, or PCB I mean, some pop-ins. I'm sorry, my mind's going crazy, but I'll probably get some new ones and throw them into this board, because aside from this complaint with the stabilizers, I think everything else is pretty darn good. So now with the stabilizers being done, I'm going to go ahead and pop them back into the plate and reassemble the plate in PCB. This goes on fairly easily. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and throw the foam back on the way it was, and then it's just these 4 screws to get this little part back and assembled together. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in and move on to the switches. So these are just some Gateron yellows I had lying around. I did go ahead and lube these, as I do with most of the switches that I use, and I'm just going to do a little test here. You know, this one is more of a test for myself. I don't really stop and get a sound thing, but I just wanted to make sure that they were sounding somewhat decent, and at this point they were, and I decided to continue. I went ahead and used a syringe with some dielectric grease to pump a little in the little housing where the wire actually sits, and I'm unsure of what made these stabilizers sound so weird. It was like the space bar, the wire was rubbing up against the polycarbonate, and it was giving this weird sound. You'll be able to see in the sound test in the end, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll save you guys a little time. Just wanted to talk really quickly about the stabilizers at that point, and we'll just go ahead and get these switches in. So now I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and reattach all of the connectors into the board. I want to be pretty careful with these, because some of these on the right hand side were pretty thin. As you can see, there's foam underneath that was provided as well, and I just decided to leave this as stock as I could. So now that this is all assembled, I'm going to move on, and these are the keycaps that I'm going to be using. So these are PBT keycaps from HiKit. I believe this is their Apollo, is what they call it, the Apollo themed. I really like the colors, and I've had these for a while. I could never find a board that I really enjoyed them on, and I think they look really good on this one. Something about this white with the curves around the sides of the board, as well as the metal knob, just gives it some sort of a spaceship vibe, in my opinion. You can let me know how you think this looks in the end, but we'll finish putting these on. And then next up, I'm going to do a couple of pictures. I'll let those slide by, and then it'll be the sound test. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for me. If you liked it, please like the video. It helps so much. If you're new here or you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. And I hope 2023 treats you guys very well. So that's it. Have a good one.